If you have an uneasy stomach, I highly recommend not watching this reaction video. Or the episode itself, now that I think about it. Although now also that I think about it, why would you be watching this reaction video if you haven't seen the thing I'm reacting to? People are weird. Hey everyone, Brobuscus here, and welcome back to another Let's Watch a Death Battle. Today's episode, we got Omni Man versus Homelander. This is gonna be quite the interesting one, let me just say that much. So obviously, before we get into it, I should note there is a link in the description below. You can go watch the actual episode yourself. Watch the official release before coming back to watch some rando on YouTube. React to it. Okay? Got it? Cool. Alright, let's do it. So, Omni Man and Homelander. So, in the time that this episode was announced to now, I did end up watching both Invincible and The Boys in prep for this fight. And I gotta say, watching these two shows has made me super excited for this episode for one reason or another. I haven't really kept up much on the comics. I know I'm not going into this completely blind on the comics. I know the ultimate fates of both combatants. So yeah, but I'm just gonna keep it pretty straightforward because there isn't really much for me to comment on these characters. Like I feel like if you're watching this episode, then you have a pretty vague idea of what these characters are about. So I guess that leads me already into like, who do I want to win, who do I think is going to win. And I'm just gonna be upfront, it's Omni Man on both fronts. Like, I don't dislike Homelander as a character, but as a person, he absolutely deserves what he is most likely getting in this episode. So whatever happens to him, can't say I feel bad. Then again, I can't really say I feel bad for Omni Man either. I know that Omni Man like reconciles with his family in the comics, but he still committed a lot of atrocities before that point, so he's definitely no saint. And you know, it's the basic theme of this fight. They're both basically evil Superman. Like I said, that's a basic theme, but it is a theme nonetheless. So why do I think Omni Man is going to win? Well, I think it should be obvious. Everybody's going for Omni Man at this point, but like, this is probably like one of the most obvious outcomes in Death Battle history. I mean, just glancing at the two, like at first glance, Omni Man just seems like he's the stronger, the faster, the more, I don't want to say the more ruthless, because Homelander is an absolute sadist. I mean, like, I don't want to defend Omni Man's actions, but like, at the very least, he himself finds them to be noble, at least for Viltrum. Not so much for Earth, but Homelander is just a crazy man baby. Like, he's there isn't really much to it other than that. So I think like the obvious moral result is Omni Man wins, so I'm rooting for him off that alone. But also I'm rooting for him because he just seemed like the cooler character when I was watching the show, both shows, but obviously more specifically Invincible. I also do prefer Invincible over The Boys from what I've seen. The Boys is good, don't get me wrong. Like, I like The Boys as a show, but I do prefer Invincible. Yeah, I don't really think there's much to really say on this one. Everybody and their grandmother is going for Omni Man on this one. So I think I should stop wasting time and jump right in. Play.
Omni Man, the Invincible Champion from planet Viltrumite.
Homelander, the world's greatest superhero, brought to you by Vought International.
Few heroes have stood the test of time with more aplomb than the very first, Superman.
We'll avoid going into
But if
specific
absolute
detail regarding
power
spoilers.
did, in
All right.
fact, corrupt absolutely.
Answer, we're all screwed. He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle.
Ooh, that looked good. I did see the preview,
Look,
but
up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's Omni Man. Had you going there for a second, huh?
Not really. His name is in the title of the video.
Well, you might be forgiven for mistaking Nolan Grayson for his classic comic inspiration. He's even got that sexy mustache that he's not afraid to hide with terrible CGI. Born on the planet Viltrum, Nolan was sent to Earth to act as its
really wants his son
superpowered
to
alien
think.
defender and spread the enlightenment of his utopian homeworld.
And as his superhero alter ego Omni Man, there was no one better suited to the task. He saved the world countless times, worked alongside the Guardians of the Globe, and even married and had a son, Mark.
Life couldn't be better until Mark inherited his dad's Viltrumite powers. That's when Mark found out that his dad was a stinking rat bastard liar.
Turns out, Viltrum wasn't exactly the peaceful utopia Nolan promised.
Peaceful
No.
in the sense that they culled half their population, murdering billions with their bare hands until only the strongest were left, united by a common purpose.
This Viltrumite empire then went on to conquer planet after planet in their home galaxy, murdering any who dared oppose them. So just scratch that whole peaceful part entirely.
yeah.
Turns out Omni Man was here to do that same thing to Earth. Sorry, Mark, your dad's a dick.
Even worse,
Yeah.
he's easily the most powerful being on the entire planet.
Imagine combining the raw power of a Kryptonian and the bloodlust of a Saiyan, and what you get is basically a Viltrumite.
Due to their unique DNA,
I mean,
Viltrumites are
sort of.
composed of smart atoms that they can manipulate to achieve superhuman feats, like holding their breath for weeks on end by drawing more energy from the oxygen inside them.
Kinda reminds me of that whole bioelectric aura thing Superman has. That's basically how comic writers bullshit a science-y explanation for his powers.
Except smart atoms make even less sense. How can atomic structure be designated by your DNA? DNA is made of atoms. It's completely nonsensical biological hogwash that I cannot stand.
Uh-oh, comics fans. I'm calling this debunked.
Why did he
Viltrumites
catch
can
on fire?
fly, withstand near absolute zero temperatures, and even possess insane healing factors. You know, stuff like getting punched through the stomach, having your guts ripped out, or having your face smashed up in a tomato soup. I don't mean to exaggerate, but Viltrumites in this series get fucked up and somehow survive.
However, too much
Yeah.
trauma to the brain or heart can overtax their healing factors, and intense heat can be especially damaging.
Even the most powerful Viltrumites can be killed by extended baths in the spicy hot plasma of a star.
And because of their abilities, their inner ear vestibular system is far more sensitive than a regular human's. Intense sonic pressure will disrupt their fragile equilibrium and even prevent them from flying.
Though pushing themselves to their physical limits only ends up making them way stronger. And considering Nolan has been alive and planet conquering for thousands of years, he's easily one of the toughest Viltrumites around. Like,
Yep.
other aliens attacking him will literally splatter their bodies against him. But Mark didn't inherit everything from his dad. Despite his alien genes, Mark was raised as a human with our weak, pathetic human values like love and compassion and not brutally murdering the shit out of everyone you see like a maniac. Really made it difficult for Nolan to relate to his kid.
Such as when these aliens invaded Earth. Mark tried his best to minimize casualties and outsmart his numerically superior foes.
Nolan, meanwhile, tackled their leader through the portal back to their homeworld, then spent some time systematically annihilating their planet for even daring to take Earth from him. Classic generational divide.
Annihilate is underselling it. Nolan flew so fast that his body lit their planet's atmosphere on fire, creating massive country-sized explosions, with his own body as the projectile.
Omni Man has flown across galaxies in only a week, survived punching a hole through a planet, and even deflected a meteor the size of Texas.
Assuming that means the diameter of the meteor is equivalent to the distance from the top of the Panhandle to the Gulf of Mexico, that would make it 1,300 kilometers wide.
and weigh over 4.6 quintillion tons. Moving at re-entry speeds of over 11,000 meters per second, it had hit with enough energy to destroy the moon twice over.
So Omni Man is strong enough to slaughter those who considered him an ally, the Guardians of the Globe, all to ensure as seamless a transition to the coming Viltrumite rule as possible.
Too bad for Nolan, it wouldn't be that easy, because he'd have to go through his son first.
Mark was horrified by his father's treachery, spurred on by the reveal that Nolan only viewed his mother as a pet, a disposable broodmare, invincible,
Yeah.
Omni Man to save the planet.
And that's when Mark's real Viltrumite training began. Get it? Training? Like the train?
Yes, we get it. It was a good pun. Jesus.
But if anything, it was Omni Man that learned a lesson about humanity that day.
He may have tried to turn Mark into a Viltrumite, but in reality, as Nolan fled Earth with tears in his eyes, Mark made his father human. Welcome
Kind of
to
glad that
Vought
didn't go into
International,
spoilers
a
on the
multi-billion-dollar
show.
American
On the
conglomerate whose
comics, I
number one
mean.
products
But
are the greatest superheroes on the face of the earth.
That's right, superheroes are real and they're big business.
Imagine a company that possesses a monopoly on popular culture, pumping out movies, TV shows, action figures, and video games constantly, drowning the masses in a slurry of focus-tested nostalgia opium with no end in sight.
Yeah, imagine.
imagine.
Vought's pantheon of gods among men is their premier super team, the Seven, and its leader, Homelander.
He's got the looks, the charm, the Jesus, and most importantly, he's got the power to slaughter all of America's enemies at home and abroad. This guy probably eats
I didn't
freaking
watch
shit
Diabolical.
seagulls.
But Homelander's squeaky clean corporate sheen is only skin
He just
deep.
looks like a
Far
tool.
from the big blue Boy Scout he's marketed as, Homelander is probably the closest thing to Lucifer on Earth.
Remember Bad Future Biff from Back to the Future? Now
Nope.
give him superpowers and media training.
Vought's official story is that Homelander was an alien who landed here as a baby, a tale we're all familiar with.
And one that's total bullshit. Homie was made in a lab with Vought's proprietary super
Also, his real name
soldier
is
serum,
John.
Compound V.
And he was a complete success.
Too much of a success. He was murdering rooms of terrified scientists before his umbilical cord was even cut. In the comics, Vought had to keep a remote-controlled hydrogen bomb strapped to him at all times because they had no idea what else could possibly kill him.
As he grew up, he was subjected to psychological conditioning to make him the greatest and most profitable hero of all time.
It wasn't long before he debuted as Homelander, the ultimate defender of the American dream.
Homelander possesses massively superhuman strength, speed, and durability. He can fly at hypersonic speeds, see through walls with X-ray vision, and detect a person's emotional state from just the sound of their heartbeat.
But you know you're done for when he breaks out his heat vision, which is strong enough to slice through crowds of people or split airplanes in half.
Or screams so loud that it shatters the eardrums of anyone around him.
Those are innocent bystanders whose ears are exploding, by the way. Oh yeah,
It's
he
true.
totally botched this mission to stop a plane hijacking, so he forced each and everyone on board to die in the resulting crash so they wouldn't reveal his incompetence.
Well, Homelander's powers may be real, but his heroism is a charade. Though he plays his part well, he cares nothing for the peons he's forced to protect.
The only thing he treasures is, ironically, his public image. Turns out being raised as a lab experiment doesn't create a healthy person. But don't worry.
Really?
He actually cleaned up his act and started a totally 100% healthy sexual relationship with a fellow superhero who just happened to be an actual Nazi. Speaking of sex, Wiz, you know how I'm always saying we should figure out how Superman and Lois get busy? Well, forget that, because Homelander proved that they can't when his ejaculation blew his partner to smithereens. Who proved that?
Look, there's no way to sugarcoat this. Considering a human's load has much less mass than a shotgun pellet, it would have to be moving significantly faster to achieve the same kinetic energy, over 1,500 meters per second, or 4.5 times faster than sound.
That's right. Homelander can bust a nut faster than the speed of sound. Well, good night, everybody. Ooh, kinda sucks for humanity that they made this dude the most powerful being on the planet and a psycho murderer.
That's no exaggeration. Stillwell even commented that Homelander has proven immune to every weapon known to mankind, no matter how powerful. Humanity literally lacks the ability to kill him.
That'd include nuclear weapons as powerful as the Tsar bomb, which exploded with the energy of 50 megatons of TNT.
Actually, it could have exploded with twice that. But the Soviets who created it were afraid it would irreversibly alter Earth's biosphere and end the world. That's right, we all almost died.
And that's the kind of shit Homelander can shrug off no problem. He's strong enough to throw a jet with one hand and fast enough to outspeed a C4 explosion.
Despite being an emotionally stunted man-child, Homelander is still surprisingly cunning and able to manipulate those around him.
Though it probably wasn't too smart to piss off the world's angriest limey, Billy Butcher. Yeah, turns out forcibly fathering a bastard son with someone else's wife is not a good idea.
Of note, as
Really?
unjustifiable as it is, to Homelander, this gave him something he never had before. Some small measure of control over his own life.
Being born Vought's star pupil meant he was under their thumb from the day he was born. His superpowered son was the first thing that was truly his and might be his best option for a new beginning. Or not.
Yeah. Yeah, the kid survived, by the way, in case you were curious. I'm not even gonna pause. I think we all know how this is gonna go. Also, I just want to see this fight.
Howdy, neighbor. Coco? It's warm. You know, Nolan, Homelander is more than just a superhero. It might be cynical to say this, but he's a brand. And it's very important to me that that brand means something.
I'm very curious to hear more of their performances.
Goddamn alien. What's really the point, right? What do you think, Debbie?
Also, yeah, Debbie's just freaking dead.
Aw, she's shy.
Yeesh.
So, do we have an understanding? Get the fuck out of my country. I'm going to feed you your own heart. Shit. That was a
Watch
great
this.
line.
What? Oh, bye, Debbie.
Country? Seriously? I'm not here for your country.
Jeez, okay. Oh, Lord. Oh, well, I mean, that'll do it.
Never been hit by someone your own size before? You have to turn with the punch to reduce... Better.
Ow. Alright, yeah, that's innocent people dead.
What's the matter? Are you going to cry?
After I'm done with you, I'm gonna flash right that little shit son of yours! This worthless neighborhood! And every goddamn person you know!
Ow, 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 ow.
Remember what I promised you. Now swallow.
Well, that was quick.
Christmas.
Okay, that was
If
fast.
there's a god, it sure seems like he was working out some aggression there.
Despite Homelander's dominance within the world
Hey,
of
this
the
is
boys,
back.
he's a
Alright.
big fish in a small
7.2
pond,
billion
relatively
times
speaking.
faster
Homelander can
and
move
60
faster than
billion
sound,
times
while
stronger.
Omni Man can move faster than light. Homelander can survive a nuke, while Omni Man can shatter the moon twice over.
To be fair, Homelander did have a couple of abilities Omni-Man didn't, like his heat vision.
And while Viltrumite healing factors have failed against continuous exposure to the heat of stars, that still took quite a bit of time. And there's no reason to think Homelander's heat vision was anywhere near that hot.
Hell, Nolan's tanked heat vision from the superhero Mean Supreme before, who can vaporize people in an instant.
Even if it was hot
Sounds
enough,
familiar.
Omni Man's superior speed would cut him off before he could do any lasting damage. Similarly, despite being able to disrupt his equilibrium with his supersonic screaming, Homelander wasn't strong enough to capitalize on it in any meaningful way.
Plus, while Homelander is pretty devious when the situation calls for it, Omni-Man has been fighting and conquering worlds for thousands of years. He comes from a warrior culture based on fighting. Homelander, on the other hand, comes from a test tube and never had to push himself as a fighter because he was always so much stronger than everyone else.
And that's the key difference between them. One is a warrior, and the other is a bully. Homelander was never going to give up easy, but Omni-Man's skill, power, and Viltrumite heritage earned him the win.
When it comes to Superman knockoffs, Homelander had to eat his heart out.
The winner is Omni-Man.
Hey, Omni Man made
Death Battle is
made good
back,
on his
and we've
promise.
launched a brand new membership
So,
program for our YouTube channel.
good for him.
By directly supporting our team, you'll get unique emotes, badges, and additional content, and a bunch more. Click that join button to
All
see
right,
more info.
what do we got
and
next?
Thanks so much for watching.
Oh, so it is Magneto. Honestly, not surprised. That was quick. That felt a little too fast, but I'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah, Magneto versus Tetsuo. Well, I now have a reason to watch Akira. I bought Akira because I knew Tetsuo was coming up, but I said like I'm going to wait until his fight comes up and then I'll watch it. And now I can. So, yay. And it's Magneto. Okay, yeah. Well, I can't say I didn't see that coming. But still, that sounds fun. I'm down. And Magneto in Death Battle is something that's been needed for ages. So like, I can't say I'm disappointed either. What's with blue? Wow, like my curtains. I'm looking at the camera. I'm looking at the curtains. There's like a blue glare over there. Anyways, so I don't know everything about Tetsuo. Heck, I don't really know everything about Magneto either. But just based on everything I've heard, it sounds like this is a really, really easy win for Magneto, which I'm honestly down for. I mean, I don't have anything against Tetsuo. I haven't seen Akira yet, but yeah. It seems like this is a pretty easy win for Magneto, and considering I like Magneto, sure, why not? Still, spare a thought for everybody who thought it was going to be Mewtwo versus Tetsuo. Would have been cool, and I would have been down to see Mewtwo get a good episode, but apparently that's just not in the cards. At least not yet. Mewtwo's time will come eventually, I imagine. But as for this fight, okay, so I enjoyed what I saw, and this is just first viewing, so keep that in mind. But, I think my only major issue is that this fight is a little too short. Or at least it feels a little too short. I guess it makes sense because they're both pretty simple characters, and it is hand drawn, so you kind of limit yourself on budget when it comes to that. And don't get the wrong idea. What we have is really cool. I like what we have. I just wish there was more. You know. But I get it. Time, budget, that's a thing. I don't mean to sound like an expert on all things time and budget related when it comes to Death Battle, but or really when it comes to anything. But but I don't know. I mean, it's cool. It's brutal. Omni Man made good on his word, so good on that. It also continues a trope that your only mate brought to my attention. Is that this season seems to be the season of I mean, granted, Homelander didn't do it, but characters predict the endings of fights. So we got Harley versus Jinx. Harley said like something like, "Why don't I start with your head?" Or like, I love exploding stuff. And at the end, she gets exploded. Wanda, this one's a little bit of a stretch, but Wanda said, like, what sort of 2-bit sorceress do you think you are? At the end of the fight, she's literally in 2 bits. What was it for Tandra or Jonathan? I forget. And then for Thor versus Vegeta, Vegeta goes like, you know, throw that hammer at me again, and he dies by getting a hammer the hammer smacking him in the back of the head. So, and then now here, Omni Man said, "I'm going to feed you your own heart," and by Jove, he fed Homelander his own heart. That's what he gets for killing Debbie. And then threatening Mark. So I do kind of wish there was more references to Omni Man quotes. A lot of people mentioned some really cool ideas for how to implement stuff like, you know, you don't seem to understand Earth isn't yours to conquer or whatever. So I don't know. I'm a little disappointed by this, but I still think it's good. I'll have to compare it to the others, but I will say both voice actors did great. Tom Shaw as Omni Man sounded really good, and then Yang Ye, I think that's how you pronounce his name, as Homelander. They did good, and then the music is pretty good too. So yeah, I don't really have much more to say on this one. This was a good one. I don't know where to rank it among the rest of the season just yet, but it's good. It's good. And I am very much looking forward to Magneto versus Tetsuo, and now I have a reason to watch Akira, so that makes it even better. Hopefully Akira is good, because there's gotta be something to make up for the fact that Tetsuo is gonna get absolutely splattered. But yeah, that's really all I had to say. So thank you guys for watching. I'll talk to you all in the next video. Bye, everybody.